Now that you have your text editor installed and ready, hopefully, or you've decided to use the system one, let's take a little look at a document together. This is always a good way to start with any project, and in particular because we're now just trying to establish a process. I think it'll be a helpful thing to do. So let's navigate to the Royal Collection Trust's Albert website, which is at albert.rct.uk. When you arrive at the site, you'll see this greetings page. You scroll down one, and then go to Collections and Royal Archives. And then to Prince Albert's official papers. Finally, various files. And here you'll see that we have the volume of speeches by the Prince Consort, which is what we're going to have a look at today. Obviously, it would be very good if you could take a look around this website and explore it a little bit. Not only because you'll be using it yourselves quite a lot, and it would be useful to you to have an exploration and know what's going on, but because obviously it is a very good point to access information about Albert and all of these papers, and it'd be very interesting to have your feedback about how you think the site works and what do you find easy and difficult about it, partly for our own benefit and partly also to allow me to perhaps give a little bit of guidance about why the site is structured as it is and how it reflects the archive that it represents. Let's have a look at these speeches. We're going to navigate downwards. The speeches are here individually. We're going to navigate downwards to the speech to the Royal Literary Fund. Rather to the Literary Fund, it became the Royal Literary Fund a little later. And to see the manuscript properly, we're going to click on Detailed Object Viewer here, and then go upwards and click Launch Viewer, which will allow us to see the document in a IIIF viewer. I'll talk about IIIF a little more another time, but in essence, it's a format or a system that allows images to be shared in a very open way, and you are able to view them then through this kind of on-screen system. You can see more information about the document and things like that in a panel in the corner, and so on. I find it quite helpful myself to download the images one at a time for usage using this button here. Simply to have them available when I'm offline, to block them into one small sort of part of my screen so that I can transcribe on another part. You might find it helpful to do the same. As you can see, the speech is quite short. If we scroll through it, it shouldn't take us too long to transcribe. Let's have a little read through and see what it has to say. I propose the health of the Queen, who highly appreciates the tendency of this institution and sincerely interests herself in its welfare. The Queen, our munificent patron. I return you my warmest thanks for the great kindness with which you have received this toast. It will always be most gratifying to my feelings to contribute in the smallest degree towards the welfare of any of the excellent institutions which so prominently distinguish this country. The toast which I have now to propose to you is the prosperity of this institution. It stands unrivalled in any country, and ought to command our warmest sympathies, as providing for the exigences of those who, following the call of genius, and forgetting every other consideration, pursue merely the cultivation of the human mind and science. What then can be more proper for us than gratefully to remember the benefits derived from their disinterested exertions, and cheerfully to contribute to their wants? I conclude with the ardent wish that the object for which we have this day met will be answered in the most ample and generous way. Prosperity to this institution. I am sure you will all gladly join me in drinking the health of our worthy President, the Marquis of Lansdowne. He would not wish me to enumerate his merits as a patron of the arts and science, so well known to this assembly, but it is a satisfaction to me to have an opportunity of expressing how much I esteem them. Our President. As you'll have gathered, this is a short sequence of toasts to be given at dinner or other meeting. But ignoring for a moment the content of the document, let's have a look at a few of the features of it that are worth noting. As you can see, the document is very narrow. There are only a few words to each line, and quite a few of those are broken across 2 lines. When we're transcribing it, we'll want to reflect this to give a sense of the original layout of the document. We'll also want to make a note of the page breaks, as well as paragraph breaks. The document also mentions 2 people, by name, or at least by title, the Queen and Lord Lansdowne, or the Marquis of Lansdowne. You'll notice at the top that there is a little bit of pencil marking, and also that we have page numbers. In many transcriptions, we'd probably take note of these, but I think for today's purposes we'll leave them alone. Now we've established all of this, let's have a go at making our first transcription. And so here, as I have suggested a little earlier, I've set up my desktop with an image for transcribing on the left and brackets open on the right. We'll open a new brackets document. And then we'll save it as put your name in, and then literary fund speech blank. And the blank here really is just to indicate that we're creating a very simple, straightforward transcription with no frills. As I said, perhaps we'll ignore the page numbers in this instance, and so we'll just go for a completely straightforward transcription. I propose the health. Press enter at the end of the line. Queen, who again enter at the end of the line, highly appreciates the tendency of this institution, and the ampersand there will pose us some problems later, but we'll look at that at the next workshop. And sincerely, here you see we have a change of line with a little dash at the end. We'll put that in. Interests herself in its welfare. Here there's a clear change in paragraph. We'll put a little break in. The Queen, her munificence beneficent patron. Put in a couple of lines space, just so that you know in your own mind that there's been a page break there, and continue in the same vein until you get to the end of the document. If everything's gone well, you should now have something that looks a little bit like this. As I suggested, this is an initial starting point, but actually this is quite a useful step towards a transcription that a computer can read. Already this is the kind of document that's very easily searchable by a computer compared to an image. And so already we've taken quite a large step. I hope that you found transcribing it to be reasonably easy. It's an entirely normal thing for there to be words that are quite difficult to read. Sometimes even paragraphs and whole documents are a problem. If you found any words difficult, try some of the methods that I've talked about in the text, such as looking at it at a different angle, even trying to write it out yourself, trying to understand letters contextually, looking for forms of letters in different places, and see if that helps you out. And if you're still really struggling, do bring any problems to the contact sessions. In the next video, we'll have a little talk about XML and how to apply it. Do read through the materials that come before it to give yourself a sense of what's coming. It's not terribly complicated, but it's probably going to feel a little bit unfamiliar. And after that, we'll have a go at marking up the document in XML.